call to order the meeting of the Policy Committee for the Mount Lebanon School District. Today's date is February 12th, 2024. And we have on the board Mr. Jake Weiland and Mrs. Erin Gensel. And then, of course, Dr. Fries and Mr. Davis and Dr. Shulo and Mr. Peterson. And in the audience, we have one member. We have three policies that we're going to review tonight, and they are four policies that we're going to review tonight, excuse me. Policy JICG, which is student smoking, policy ADC-GBED, which is tobacco-free schools, policy ECF, which is energy management and resource conservation, and then policy GCBDD, which is leaves of absence. We will start with policy JICG, which is student smoking. And there are some red lines and slight revisions, but not anything super significant. But Mr. Peterson, do you have any comments, or Dr. Fries?
Actually, the changes were all made by the administration, but they
perfect.
did send them to me, and yeah, there's nothing that raises any legal concerns.
So our additions for this policy are mainly to include nicotine or oral nicotine pouches, which are a new tobacco/nicotine product that we're seeing in schools. At least that's what the research says. So we wanted to make sure that we captured those in here. So we've added those to the language. That's what you'll see as the red lines. We've also added in there that the policy ensures that students are interested in quitting will be referred to a cessation program. It gives a definition of an oral nicotine patch, which is really interesting because it's not something that you smoke, it's not something that you chew, but it's more or less like a pouch that has nicotine in it that you put between your lip and your gums, and it lasts for about an hour to provide you with the same kind of fixation that a tobacco-based product would. In addition to that, we've gone through the policy and make sure that we updated everything to include the oral nicotine, as well as information where it talks about that it's allowable for a student to possess or use a product that's been approved for the FDA for sale as a tobacco cessation or dependence product and is being marketed and sold solely for that approved purchase or purpose, assuming such possession or usage is accompanied by medical authorization and adheres to all district medication protocols. So really, if it is a student who is under a doctor's care and that they have stated that this is something that they can use, whatever the product is, that we would work with them to make sure that that occurs.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, like
Prescribed nicotine?
Yeah, it would be like a patch,
Okay.
or
Okay,
like
yeah,
gum,
all right.
or
Cessation, yeah.
yeah,
Cessation.
cessation stuff, where it like weans you off of
Gotcha.
the nicotine. Yeah, you learn a lot when you update policies
Yeah.
about opportunities that you can include in here.
We'll just really appreciate it. Ms. Gensel, do you have any comments? I know that things are continually evolving every 6 months, so this is, again, very
Yes.
appreciated. Great, then we can bring those to the board for next Monday's meeting. The next policy is the policy ECF, which is energy management and resource conservation. And this kind of added the sustainability statement that we made in 2022, which is great. And that kind of is woven into a lot of the revisions. Do you have any other?
No, that's the major change, is really including that statement and then just some small kind of clerical things to clean up language. But nothing else that's excessive or of note.
Do you have any comments, Mrs. Gensler, Mr. Weiland? I have a couple questions, and this is mostly probably for Mr. Marciniak, who is here. I'm so sorry I didn't mention that you were here. So this is great that you are here. So in addition to the language that's used, like what are, and this is kind of just a conversation starter, what are your thoughts on integrating how we can encourage, like how we can improve educator and student awareness and encourage the sharing of a lot of these experiences and expertise of the district and their commitment to having more sustainable and management conservation efforts. And then I really appreciate the idea that you do emphasize how you're actively seeking sources of funding to implement a lot of the energy efficient improvements and utility infrastructure renewal improvements. But is there like a way, so kind of in the definitions, you have energy manager, and then energy, are there like other people, who are the energy managers, I guess is my first question. And then how can we like encourage those audits to be kind of more public on which buildings are using, like what the energy utilization index is for each building and how we can kind of work to improve those?
So to answer the question, we have two employees. One is our HVAC technician and one who is our electrician, who have a separate responsibility to be the energy managers. And so they have some software that they follow, and they, because they're, you know, that's the nature of their work every day, they're able to see, you know, just specific items where they may be able to, you know, save us energy using variable frequency drives or using different horsepower motors or better light, light fixtures that, you know, might save us energy using LED fixtures as opposed to metal halide fixtures and those types of things. So that's what they're able to do just by the nature of their work. They also have some software that they follow every day. So they're able to follow our HVAC system and our energy system, what we're using every day. So as far as being able to get others to be able to use that or to be able to see it, all we have to be able to do is just post it, really. We can post it on our websites from time to time or from month to month. We can print out, you know, monthly reports and things like that. And then as far as wanting to get others involved, I think that we have some teachers within the district who are teaching that into their curriculum, you know, putting that into their curriculum. I know that Dr. Gallo certainly is, and I'm sure that probably Mr. Haberberger also. So those teachers can, you know, they can teach it into their curriculum. Maybe we can get more students involved that way.
That's really great. In the part under definitions and energy manager, so a lot of the, like review, number 7, so review, develop, and implement both short and long-term strategies in utility utilization and energy conservation. Is that like periodically review, develop, and implement? Or annually? And like similarly with like perform calculations of energy use, that, I mean, that seems like it's daily for you guys because you are like revisiting this with the technology.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the time period is. That, like you say, they're probably doing it constantly. I mean, just every day they're probably keeping up on that. So I don't really know that they have a specific set time period that they're continuing to do that.
Great. And then my final question for you is like, would it be beneficial to include collaborating with the municipality on like larger district-wide strategic plans for energy conservation? Or does that seem kind of like, you already are doing that, so.
We
I
are
don't know if
doing
it's-
it.
Yeah.
And I know that Mrs. Burdick had some, we had some discussions about doing some of those things. So we have had some discussions with the municipality. And where we can collaborate, we will do that. And where we, you know, where we can do to save money or things like that, we'll certainly.
Great. Well, that was my only thoughts. So thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Marciniak. Great, then we can bring that to the board next week, and we will move on to policy JICG, which is student smoking.
So this other one, which is it's ADC, GBED, the tobacco-free schools. That one is also the inclusion of the oral nicotine pouches to be included within this language, as well as a definition of what an oral nicotine pouch is. And it also adds in there the idea of a tobacco cessation or dependence product program that if approved and approved by a doctor and notified, and the school district is notified, that we will allow them to utilize that as well. So very similar to the other one, but really just updates it from like a tobacco-free school perspective.
Great, that's really helpful. Thank you. Any questions, Mrs. Gensler or Mr. Weiland?
No, thank you.
Great. And then our final policy we will review tonight is policy GCBDD, which is leaves of absence for professional development and sabbatical leaves for restoration of health.
So this one, we updated it to be consistent with the new board, the new collective bargaining agreement that we approved with the MLEA. And our goal was to update the language to make sure that it aligned with the new CBA contract language. So some of the changes that you will see in here, as I clicked on it, it took me to another policy. So let me just pull that one up. What you will see in here is just updates related to the contract and replacing pronouns with they or their. And then in section 5, that's really the largest update based upon the negotiated contract.
Great, thank you so much. Any questions?
Great, thank you.
This isn't applicable for professional staff, but do energy managers, do they get opportunities for professional development and continuing ed?
No, they don't.
Yeah, if they're ever interested, maybe we should discuss that in the future. Thank you, sorry. Great, well then we'll move these 4 policies onto the board next Monday. And if there's no other questions, any comments or questions from members of the audience? Great, and I'll call this meeting to adjourn.
Just ask for a motion.
Oh, ask for a motion, sorry.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Great, thank you so much.